Welcome to the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast. My name is Katie Todd, and I'm a nutrition entrepreneur. I spent 7 years as a side hustler before diving into entrepreneurship full time. Before making the leap, I was bringing in 6 figures through my side hustle. If I can do it, you can too. This podcast is for dietitians, interns, and students who want to be inspired to start or perfect the side hustle of their dreams. Let's do this. Hello and welcome to the 94th episode of the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast, Why You Should Start a Business in 2022. So I feel like my guest today needs no introduction. If you listen to the podcast, you hear me talk about him quite often, but I'm so excited to welcome back my business coach, Greg Todd. Greg, gosh, it's hard to describe who Greg is. He has so many different hats that he wears, and he leads the Smart Success Healthcare business community, but he really helps dietitians, healthcare professionals to become entrepreneurs and to achieve time and financial freedom. And I know for me, the opportunity to work with Greg has been the biggest blessing in my life. He has helped me go from a side hustler to a full-time entrepreneur who finally has time and financial freedom. And so I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity to work with you and also to have you as a guest on the podcast so you can share your wisdom and knowledge with all of my listeners today. So
thank you. I appreciate you as always. Appreciate you.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and dive right in. And, I think my first question is just going to be the title of the episode. Why should you start a business in 2022?
Oh, I think it's because what's going on in 2022. I mean, I'm sure everybody understands there is a recession going on. That's number one. Number two is inflation. And I want to dive into both of those. Let's talk about the recession first. So I'm just going to assume that not everyone understands exactly what a recession is. A recession is basically where you have 2 quarters, which is 3-month periods of economic downturn of activity. And so you could pretty much look at it and look at the major stocks. You can look at the major companies that usually are kind of the big machine engines that run the US economy. And you could see what those companies are doing. My pocket surely feels it with what I have invested in companies and in mutual funds and in stocks and all the other stuff. It's definitely hurting not just me, but so many other people. It's just people are not spending as much money. Are they spending money though? They are, yes, but they're not spending as much money. And so, or you know what, I should even say it like this, they're deciding what they actually want to spend their money on, okay? And so I think that's a really, really important thing. So we have to understand that just on a whole, if you don't do things different, by default, people are not going to spend as much money with you. Okay. So that's the first thing. All right. Now let's talk about inflation. Inflation is where the money that you have does not have the buying power that it used to have. For instance, in March of this year, March of 2022, inflation was up 8.1%. Okay. So if you had $100 and in 2021, March of 2021, that $100 would buy you $100 worth of groceries. It'd buy you 4 loaves of bread. It would buy you 2 packs of steak. It would buy you some grass-fed burgers. It'd buy you potato chips. It'd buy you, some Dasani water, whatever the case may be. Okay, great. It bought you $100 worth of stuff. Well, just in March of 2022, that $100 could only buy you $92 worth of stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's the deal. The deal is that inflation usually goes up about 3 to 4% a year prior to March of 2020. Now we're having inflation go up by 4 to 10% per month, which means that if you add the first thing that I said, where people are not spending as much money on the same things that they were spending on money prior, and then now we have basically anywhere between 40 to 80% inflation a year, not 4%, but 40 to 80%. That tells me that you don't really have a choice if you want to make it, but to have a business. So why a business? A business because number one, when you own a business, you have ownership of the type of value that you're able to give people. So as I said, if things are the same, just by default, people aren't going to spend as much money with you because they are looking for a better bang for their buck. Will there be some people that will spend the same amount of money as they were last year? Sure. Those people highly, highly, highly value your services. Okay. But there are people that feel like, you know what, whatever you charge, it was worth what it is that you charge. So this year, they're like, wait a minute, what you charge was worth exactly what it is that you charge. I'm either going to remove that or I'm going to get something that's less. But if you're a business owner, you have the ability to say, you know what, I'm going to charge the same or I'm going to charge more, but I'm going to give you so much more value for what it is. When you don't have a business, you don't have control over that. You don't. When you don't have a business, you don't have control over giving yourself a 40% increase in pay, which is what's happening right now. A 40% increase in pay is not a greed move. A 40% increase in pay is you living at the same lifestyle last year as you want to this year. So that's what you need. Can you do that working for someone right now? No. And that's honestly the reason why I feel like having a business, at least today, I don't really feel like it's an option. I feel like either you have a business and you live the lifestyle that you're currently living, or and even better, or you don't have a business and you're going to have to make massive changes. You know, my thing is like, if somebody could tell me, hey, this was going to end in a month, this was going to end in 2 months, that'd be one thing. All right, let me cut out the Starbucks. Let me cut out this. Let me cut out that. But this could be going on for years. And I don't want to be on the other side. So I don't really see how there's any other way but to decide that, you know what, I'm going to bring massive value to people. And that's why I'm going to justify what it is that I get paid. And that's going to allow me to be able to feed my family and take care of myself and take care of other people.
Yeah, for sure. And I think of how I'm in my 6th month of being a full-time entrepreneur. And I'm so grateful in the season that I am an entrepreneur because had I been in my 9-to-5 job, I would not have had a raise, but I'm paying more for the same stuff. And so now I'm in a situation where I have more cash flow and I am not stressing about something that I would have been stressing in the past. So I think for some dietitians, just the thought of a recession of, oh my gosh, people aren't going to be spending enough money, that can create some fear in them of like, I'm not going to have success in business because people aren't going to spend money on what I have to offer. And I know you got a lot to say about that, but I hope that when people hear this, they're not thinking fear, they're thinking urgency of like, no, I got to do this now because we can't predict the future, but we can control our own businesses and what we do moving forward.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's so many things that we can kind of hit on with regards to this. The first thing I'll hit on is, you know, my brother and I were talking yesterday. My brother's an entrepreneur as well. My brother was the entrepreneur of the family. He's always been like this. I was more the conservative. I guess I had more the dietitian DNA, if you want to call it, you know, out of all of us. But we're both entrepreneurs today. And something he reminded me of, you know, yesterday, he's like, Greg, you know, the one thing that people have to remember is that there's no alien that has come down and taken all the money. Is there a recession going on? Yes, there's a recession going on, but there is not an alien that has come down and said, okay, what we're doing is we're going to suck up all that money that was printed in 2020. The money is there. Yep. The money's there. It's whether people are going to part ways with the money. So to you all that you're concerned of, oh my gosh, if I start a business, what will happen? Will people even want to use me for my services? The question you should be asking is, well, first of all, the answer to that is yes, if you have high value in your business, because that's how we do things. We do things based off of value. So what are the things that are high value? That's what you need to ask next. And that's what I'm going to answer right now. The reason why there's such an amazing opportunity for those of you that are just starting a business is because you have the ability to start out the gate with doing stuff different than what everybody else is doing. Okay. Now, what I can give you is I can give you a little blueprint and a template for what things people value. Okay. Across the board. What people value across the board. And you can thank Amazon, you can thank Netflix for this, you can thank Apple for these things. But basically what people value is they value being able to get their problem solved. Okay. They want to be able to get their problem solved. And they want the person that can communicate and convey that I can solve your problem and I truly understand your problem better than this person over here, this dietitian over here, this hospital over here, this private practice over here. I understand your problem more than them. I can tell you right now, that is one of the main things that people value. So I want you to think right now of the people that you think you're competing against. Are they amazing in their message? More than likely you're saying, no, not really. They're not really that good. I'm talking not when people come into their place. I'm talking about before people come to a place. Are they like relentlessly on social media? Are they talking to people that aren't paying them? I think you can say no to most of those questions, right? So the reality is that if you decided, hey, you know what, I'm going to be different than all the other dietitians out there, and I'm going to convey and communicate with people that are not my customers yet, and I'm going to show them how I know their problem and I realize how big of their problem is in the grand scheme of things, and how their problem is not just affecting their health, it's affecting their wealth, it's affecting their relationships, it's affecting so many other things. And I can convey that better than anybody else. I know that I now have presented more value to people, and they're going to want to buy from me because they feel like I truly have their problem under wraps and that I truly understand it. That's the first thing. The second thing is people value the likelihood that their problem is really going to get solved. Mm-hmm. So if you can show them that, hey, not only do I feel very confident about solving your problem, here are other people that have used my method and have solved, and I've solved this problem for them. Or here are guarantees that we're going to put in place. If I don't solve your problem, that I will continue to work with you until I do that. Are other dietitians doing that? Are other private practice people doing that? For the most part, they aren't. So because they aren't doing that, you've now increased the likelihood of achievement that they're going to get their problem solved through you versus another competitor. Is that making you more valuable? Yes. And that's what people pay for. Here's a third thing that people pay for. They pay for being able to solve their problem in a tighter amount of time. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you can solve their problem in 2 weeks versus the traditional way where people are trying to solve problems in 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, who's more valuable? You are. If you can solve their problem in a very condensed amount of time versus someone else that's doing it in a traditional way, saying, hey, I'm going to see you for 5 months. They don't want their problem solved in 5 months. They don't want more of your time. They want more of theirs back. Mm-hmm. And so if you can give people a condensed amount of time that they're going to have to do your program, you become more valuable. And then the last thing is the effort that it's going to take them to get the problem solved. So most people in the healthcare space want to solve things with people in front of them. And that's wonderful for certain instances, but there's a lot of things that people want, and they want their time back, and they don't want to have to drive to wherever you're at, and they don't want to have to listen to you for 45 minutes, an hour, or 2 hours, and they want to do things in the convenience of their time. So if you can make it much easier for them to be able to get the result, you're more valuable. And so if you understand those 4 things and understand that your competition right now is probably not doing very well in at least one of those 4, I would say most of your competition is probably not doing good in all 4 of those things, then you can position yourself as the premier person in your marketplace. And if you understand that, you can charge whatever it is that you want. And you are of such a higher level of value to people versus what they're currently getting. That's it.
Yeah, I love it. So many gems in there. I think one piece that really stood out to me is when you're talking about the time piece, because I think a lot of dietitians default to, I'm going to offer a package for 3 months, for 6 months, and they focus on the time, but really switching their mindset of like, no. If we could do this in less time, that's better. I actually wrote down what you said. They don't want more of your time. They want more of theirs back. Yeah. And so, it makes me start thinking about what is business really, and our mindset towards business as dietitians. And I think most healthcare professionals, we didn't learn anything about this in school. And sometimes what people learn on their own isn't the best example of what they should be doing, because they're creating a system that's going to take more of their time. And eventually, if they start their own business, they're going to start disliking it, and it's going to feel like a job
Right.
that's their own. So
Yeah.
maybe you can kind of talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think there's a big thing. I think most people, I think the reason why most people are really nervous about going into business is because they think that they're just going to work for themselves. And I'm not into working for myself. I'm not into that. That's called owning a job. And I personally don't think there's any reason to own a job. Owning a job costs me money. I can go and get a job. It's free down the road. So why would I want to go own a job when I can actually just go work for someone and they don't require me to get an LLC, to have a business license, to get a Stripe account, to get my own bank, my own business checking account. I don't have to do any of that. Why would I do that? So I'm not into owning a job. That's the first thing. The second thing is I'm not into trading time for money. I'm into trading solutions for money.
Yep. So
one of the examples I gave, Katie, you use the Get Time Planner, right? You use that
every day
on a regular basis. Okay. All right. So that is a very simple way. Here, why don't you open it up for people just for them to see? So the whole idea of this planner is that I use this planner for myself, right? And then I decided, okay, I want to actually give this to my audience, people that are struggling, especially as an entrepreneur. Like, what am I supposed to be doing at my time, right? And I break it down into 4 specific things that you should be doing with your time throughout the day when you're doing your magic time, which is basically the time that you're working in your business, right? Okay, that tool is just a tool. It's a tool that I created one time. I created it one time. And that tool now has gone on to help people all over the world, right? And so one of the biggest things that I had to unlearn as a healthcare professional and relearn as now a healthcare entrepreneur is that I don't want to trade my time for money. I don't want to sell a lot of my time for a little somebody's money. What I want to do is I want to be concerned with the payoff of whatever it is that I give to people. I'm not selling you a planner. What I'm selling you is I'm selling you a way for you to organize your day as what you should be doing as an entrepreneur that is successful. Okay. So here's the cool thing. Every single day in the planner, I'm speaking to people. I like to speak to people on podcasts, but this I only have so much time. But every single day, there's a message from me. Even me, I listen to my message like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad he said that. Oh, wow, that was me. Okay, cool. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Right. And then I have it laid out in exactly in the way that I operate and I do like my daily routine. I was just telling, Katie, today, I didn't do my routine in the way that I usually do my routine. And I feel like a total mess. Right. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't do what I usually just go line by line in my planner, like boom, 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 boom. And today I only did my workout. I went too far in my workout. So I messed up and didn't do all my personal development stuff and whatnot. And I'm off. And so here's the deal. Like that thing is, I was telling this to my assistant, that is so valuable to me because it keeps me on my structured routine. And my structured routine allows me to be so valuable for the time that I want to give to my business, for the time I want to give to myself, for the time I want to give to my wife, for the time I want to give to my 4 kids. And so that's something I created one time. And now it's gone on to help thousands of people every single day. That's how you want to start thinking. What can you do? Whether that's a course, whether that is a blog, whether that is a planner, whether that is a book, whether that is a training that you do on Zoom, but that training lives forever. And it's something that people can get access to all the time. That's how you need to be thinking. Whereas we as healthcare professionals, we only think in the way of, okay, I'm only valuable if I'm in front of you. And that's the only way I can bring you value, which means that you're not respecting your time and you're not respecting mine. And so now you've basically bottlenecked yourself. And so that is the big mindset shift that you have to have. And if you don't have that, then you'll also limit yourself in the amount that you can dream, because you'll be like, well, wait a minute. If I'm making 70K a year right now, and I'm working 40 hours a week, I'm not going to even allow myself to think that I can make 140,000 a year, because that means I'm going to have to work 80 hours a week. And so when you think in that time for money way, you actually limit yourself, because you're thinking that if I make 140K, I'm going to kill myself because I'm going to burn myself out. But when you think in a solutions-based way with the planners, I'm like, wait, I can make $1 million a year off those planners. All I got to do is I just have to sell a certain amount of those planners a year. That's it. And it doesn't take any of my time. Oh, I can make $1 million a year off of my program because the program's already done. So all I got to do is to sell a certain amount of those programs, and it doesn't take any more of my time. Oh, I can make $1 million a year off of, a book because I just have to get in front of enough people's audience that want what it is that I have in that book. And it doesn't take any more of my time. And now it doesn't limit me with what I am going to aspire for because I'm not subconsciously thinking it's going to kill me in the process.
Yeah, for sure. Right before I got on this recording this episode with you, I was talking to a dietetic intern, and she asked me, how do you schedule your day, or what's it look like? And I think maybe what she was looking for was like, my day is so booked and full, like filled with things. And really my schedule it varies every day. But the one thing that doesn't change is my morning routine. It's very similar to yours: exercise, professional development, time with Jesus, meditation, just all those things. So I start my day off well. But what I was telling her when I was describing how every day looks different, I said, my primary goal in business is to provide the most value that I can in the least amount of time. My goal is not to be working 40 hours a week as an entrepreneur. It is to be taking care of my body, of my brain, of my mind, of my soul, all of the things. So that way I can show up and serve my audience better. And it takes this massive shift in thinking, because you're so right. We are trained to trade time for money, and to shift and realize, like, no, I can provide more value and reach more people and provide more impact if I can shift my mindset and stop doing what I was taught I had to do. And, we do that through learning with people who have done it before. I've learned so much from you. I see what you've done. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that too, because it works. And so mindset is just so huge. And it really is all about providing lots and lots of value. And honestly, less time's better, because then you can take care of yourself. And when you take care of yourself, you serve others better.
It's so huge. I think one of the biggest things that I remember for myself as a physical therapist, and being in that technician mindset, like I know a lot of dietitians are in as well. And you work and work and work and work and treat patients and see clients, and you see so many that you're literally in a state of physical diligence. I mean, you are working, you're physically working, but what that does is it creates mental laziness and not a lot of mental activity. Because like you could see a client, you could do a new consultation, a new evaluation, and it doesn't take a ton of thinking from you. But what takes a lot of thinking and rest in your mind is creativity. Like, in order for me to be creative enough to say, you know what, I'm going to take my morning routine, I'm going to put it into a planner, or I'm going to take the things that I've blessed so many clients, so many patients with, and I'm going to actually create a system out of that. That actually takes rest, and that takes recovery, and that takes downtime. And so I got to be honest with you. I just finished my 90 days of the next plan. I finished it yesterday, right? And my average amount of work for that 90-day period was like 24 hours. And when I say 24 hours, it's not like your typical 24 hours, like, oh, I checked into a place. I'm talking about 24 hours. That includes like my reading. That includes my personal development. Every day, there's no less than an hour of personal development. That includes any trainings. There's in some of those, I was away in San Diego at a mastermind. That was like 20 something hours for just that week alone. So it's not your typical, like, I'm working 20 something hours. I'm feeding my mind, but it's the only way I can do these things and create this stuff is by me actually resting. And there's so many people that they're burned out and they're tired and they're exhausted. And I want to tell you, if you have a setup like that, it's very difficult for you to actually be creative and be able to create these new ways of giving people value in the way that they want, which is totally different and so much better than any competition you have. I don't care how big of a company, whether it's a hospital, there are so many things that you all can create, but you're in a state of mental laziness but very physically diligent, where you're showing up, but you really have not given yourself any space for you to be able to like rest and think and create and listen to your clients and think of new ways to be able to serve them. And that's a very dangerous place to be in. It's a very dangerous place to be in. And that's not where the money, the impact, and the income happen. It doesn't happen there. It happens when you actually give yourself time to learn, when you give yourself time for creativity, give yourself time to be able to just like, hey, let's take a step back and, you got to do something to start there, to be able to get yourself out of the current cycle you're in and move to another one. It's just one step, just one thing. And that will help you with taking that next leap.
Yeah. Yeah. So, when I think of the topic of our discussion today about why you should start a business in 2022, I think for me, a lot of it comes down to getting back your time, having financial freedom, and really just living your dreams. I think so many dietitians have these big, audacious goals and dreams that they're too scared to speak into the world because they don't think it's possible.
Right.
And so often people want to wait for the perfect time.
Right.
And they might look at 2022 and be like, this is a horrible time to start a business. But there's so much unpredictability in life, and there is no perfect time. But we also know that entrepreneurs who do things the right way are going to be the ones having success in 2022. So I mentioned before, I hope that a message dietitians are taking away from this isn't fear, that it's urgency of like, I got to do this now.
Yeah, I like 100% agree with you with that. The first thing is just understand what an entrepreneur is. An entrepreneur is someone that owns and operates a business, solves problems for people, and basically gets compensated based on the problems that they're solving. And they're willing to do so at a financial risk. That's what an entrepreneur is. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, we have to ask ourselves this question first. Can we learn how to own and operate a business? Well, you might not know how to do it now, but can you learn it? Sure, you can. You learn how to tie your shoes. You learn how to ride a bike. I remember the first time when I was trying to tie my shoes, I remember tying the knot around my finger, right? And then the second time I messed up, and the third time I messed up, and then eventually I got it. And now I can tie my shoes. I don't even have to look. Okay. All right. I remember the same thing when I was learning how to ride a bike. I'll never forget it. I was down 186 Ave, and my dad was right there next to me, and and I fell off the first time, and then eventually you get it. And then not even an hour later, you're just roaming down the sidewalk. You can learn anything. So can we learn how to own and operate a business? Sure, if you're willing to learn how to do it. One thing I will tell you is this, Katie. Business has never, I'm not saying it's not mentally tough, okay? It's challenged me. It's never challenged me physically in ways that I was challenged when I was a janitor at TJ Maxx, which is a local retail store in my area, okay? All right? It's never challenged me any way physically. It's challenged me mentally because I'm not used to doing certain things that I was never trained to do in school. But I've never had a day that's been more challenging physically than anything that I've ever done prior to entrepreneurship. Okay. It's never been harder than any of those days. It just gives me a different outcome and a different payoff. Okay. That's really it. Now, with that said, I said you can own and operate a business, and you're now solving problems for people. Okay. So can we say this in 2022? Are there more problems in 2022 or less problems?
I'd say there are more.
There's more problems. So now here's the thing. You're a dietitian and you're listening. You said there's more problems. I'm assuming everybody agrees with Katie when she said that. So now the question is do you see people solving all those problems that you're thinking of right now? So if the answer is more and the second answer is no, then what I can tell you is that it's not like, oh, well, yeah, you could start in 2024. You're just not going to be able to solve the problems that you're thinking of right now in 2024 because somebody eventually will solve the problems. Now, here's what I have really come to understand. Okay. I guess, people say I'm a big name in healthcare. Okay. Well, what I do know is this. I've been recently doing YouTube ads. Okay. And initially I was helping physical therapists. This is the first 2.5 years. I was just helping physical therapists. And then I started helping occupational therapists. And then we started to build out a whole subset for dietitians. And now we've gone on to help 19 different healthcare professionals in one of my courses, programs, et cetera, okay? Which is really cool. So as I've been going into doing more advertising on YouTube, et cetera, can I tell you guys what's happening? What's happening is non-healthcare professionals are getting into where? They're getting into the healthcare space. Because they see the problems. See, they're entrepreneurs and they see the problems that are going on in the healthcare space. They see healthcare professionals leaving in mass exodus because they're sick of trading time for money. They're seeing the problem. They're seeing all the problems, the things that even our clients are struggling with, but we are refusing to help them with because it falls outside of our level of comfort and our boundaries of what we were told by our professors and our colleagues of what we can and can't do. And what people are doing is they're saying, you know what, we're going to do it. And so there are so many problems. I guess that's my whole point. And people are solving them. Will there still be more problems in 2020? I'm sure there will. But right now, this is such an amazingly unique time, but a unique time in where people are like, you know what? I don't care that you are the biggest company out there. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for the most value. And it's very, very difficult for big companies to be able to move and pivot. A couple of weeks ago, Katie was with me in Clearwater. And Katie, you remember when we're on that pretty big ship, right? We're on that cruise. Okay. So I want you to think about that ship, right? That we were on. It's a really big ship. There's probably 200, 300 people on that ship. Okay. And if you remember, Katie, we were on the third floor when we were waiting for our dinner. We were on the third floor and we were just outside and just living our best life and just taking in the good saltwater life. It was just amazing, right? Now, Katie, do you remember that there were some jet skis at one part of the cruise? There were some jet skis that were going by us. Now,
yes.
Imagine this. Imagine if we had to turn around fast. Who could turn around faster, the jet ski or our boat that we were on?
The jet ski.
The jet ski could turn around faster. You see, the thing is this, when there are problems, the small guy or gal is able to go ahead and pivot very quick.
Yep.
When you are on the cruise liner, when you are on the rig, it's hard to turn. Can you turn? You can. It just takes a lot more time. And what I realize is that this unique opportunity that's happening right now, it's so much easier for you listening to actually make an impact and make a lot of impact and a lot of income right now because of the time that we're in. It's just harder for big establishments to move. Yeah. It's not like they don't want to do it. It's just harder for them to do it. There's so much bureaucracy, so much red tape, et cetera, et cetera. And it's probably the reason why you aren't happy with your job. So you have the ability to be the jet ski and change fast. And you can profit from it.
Yeah, for sure. So I feel like at this point, a lot of people are like, okay, I'm ready to start a business in 2022, but where do I start? And I know that next week you have a challenge. I'm quite excited for it, but can you share more about the challenge you're doing next week for people who might be interested in saying, now's the time, I'm ready to start?
Yeah, okay. So I just want to give a little backstory with the challenges. This will be my fifth, challenge that I do. Okay. But it'll be the first of its kind in that I'm doing two things differently. So this challenge that I'm going to be doing is called Build a Business Challenge. And literally in 3 days, I'm going to teach people what it took me 18 years to get and master. Okay. And that is how you build a business, from not just the mindset that you have to have, but like, what do you really need to do to structure out building a business? I want to take away all the guesswork. I want to take away all the confusion of what it takes on what you really need to do from the get-go in order to have a business that is going to not just survive, but thrive during these times. My mission is to get entrepreneurs from the healthcare space into healthcare and helping healthcare clients. Okay. That's what I want to do. And I know I've worked with, I guess it's probably now over hundreds of dietitians at this point. And I know that you guys have a lot of people in your field and in your space that need help, and you help them with big problems, but you just don't necessarily have the skills to be able to basically grow a business and scale a business. And so I want to be able to do that. So usually I do these challenges in 5 days. This time around, I'm like, look, man, when you get better, you can do things in a shorter amount of time. So I want to do it in 3 days. Okay, that's the first thing. Now, Katie will also tell you that I'm not cheap. Okay, and the easiest way for you to get into my world is by doing a challenge, which is $97 for a standard ticket and $297 for a VIP. Well, one of the things that I talked to my team, we just had a really amazing first year of our main flagship program. And I said, you know what? I just want to help people this summer, just help them get started. So there's a lot of people, look, I'm not going to judge anybody that thinks $97 is a lot of money. There was a time that I thought $9.70 was a lot of money to spend on a book. Today, I don't mind spending $100,000 to learn something that I need to learn, but I wasn't always there. So I want to acknowledge the people that aren't there yet and are more comfortable with investing in their traditional education, but maybe not as comfortable with investing in the new way of doing business and personal development. So with that said, this will be the first time ever, and probably the only time ever, that I'm doing the challenge for as little as $1. Okay. You get to listen to everything that I do in the challenge for 3 days, showing you exactly how to build a system, a revenue generating system, AKA a business, not owning a job, how you do it, the steps on how to do it, why God has commanded us to do this, how you do it, the 6 different roles of business that you need, the 4 different components that will help you grow your business 1,280%, and how you do this from the comfort of your home. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. And I'm so excited that it's like $1, guys. I have high expectations that all of you will be signing up for this challenge. It's going to be a ton of value and only $1. Even in these recession-y times, we can afford $1.
But here's the deal, Katie. One thing I understand, and again, for everyone here, I'll give you one nugget. Okay, I'll give you one nugget from the is that cool, Katie?
Yeah.
So one of the biggest things is I'm going to teach you how to build a brand. Okay, and one of the things is that everyone knows that my brand is really based off of not just Greg Todd, but my brand is based off of the results that I deliver for people, and my brand is also based off of my price. And one of the things that people think that their brand is based off of just their logo, or they think that their brand is based off of the amount of letters that they have after their name. That's actually not the brand that people know you for. Okay. So for me, the reason why I'm able to do this for $1 is because my brand that people know me for and people buy my products for allow me to have the margin within my business that I can do what schools should be doing for you all. So I can do it for $1 and bring you in and basically teach you the game and teach you how it works and teach it to you respecting your time, that it's not 30 days, it's not 3 months, it's not 9 months. And I'll tell you that I can do that because of my brand. And so I'm going to be teaching you all how to actually build a brand. Now, do I recommend that you all do $1 thing? No, I recommend you do $1 thing once you're rich like me. Okay. But until then, I actually recommend that you build your brand a certain way that's going to allow you to have margin in your business. It's going to allow you to not have to trade all your time for money. It's going to allow you to buy back your time and allow you to use that time to be able to better yourself, better your family, better your relationship with the higher power of whoever you submit to, relationship with your spouse, et cetera. And so if you do it our way, business is a beautiful thing. And so I can't wait to show you guys.
Yeah. So if people want to join, how can they sign up for this program?
Yeah, sure. So your podcast listeners, this is what I want you to do right now. Okay. Step number 1, I want you to go to buildthebizchallenge.com. I'm sorry, buildthebizchallenge.com. So BUILDTHEBIZ challenge. I'm not going to spell that out, .com. Okay. So you're going to go there. All right. Then you're going to click on that green button. And then on the next page, it's going to be your order form. There's going to be a $1 entry. There'll be a $97 entry if you want to get not only a challenge, but have the replays of the challenge for life. And then there'll be a $297 entry if you want to get Q&A with me for 3 days. Okay. And have me send you out my planners and all the other good stuff. But you can get to listen to the whole thing for $1. Okay. At the top of it, there'll be a thing that says referred by. Please put Katie Dodd so that we know that it came from this podcast. And so that's it. And you can sign up, and then we'll be working with you at 7 p.m. Eastern time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, June 27th, 28th, and 29th.
Awesome. So I will put buildthebizchallenge.com in our show notes as well, so people can access it. And I am so excited for this challenge. And I just am always so grateful when you come on the podcast and share your knowledge. And I hope that people listening, you're walking away with a little bit of mindset shift, a little bit of like, oh, I didn't think of business like this, but now I'm going to change the way I think and the way I act. So as always, thank you so much for being on today.
Appreciate you, Katie. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to the podcast. Now, if you're curious where you could learn more about how to start your side hustle, how to make money blogging, and all the ways that we could work together, go ahead and visit www.katiedodd.com, and that's where you can find all the links on how to dig deeper so we can continue our journey working together. Thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you.